What's good, y'all? You dub back here again here in 2019. Let's get it. Now, I wasn't going to do a video on the Rocks Pirates, alright? That appeared first talking, I believe, around the time of the Reverie, okay? Um, but because there's so much confusion and assumption being drawn about this former crew, seemingly crew, I had to address it. Now, this video, shout out to Dark King Abdul shout out to him because he asked me a question, a Google Hangout about, because I remember him and I were talking probably, it was after Sean Holmes' live stream. Go check out the channel if you can. Anyways, and about a week or so ago, and I had mentioned I don't think that Lin, Big Mem, Charlotte Lin, and Kaido were a part of the Rocks Pirates. Being who they are, it doesn't make sense. Chronologically, it doesn't make sense. But he showed me the panel, and let me go and read the panel, okay? And the see, he's like, this is why people say this. All right, so the page, excuse me. All right, so homegirl who's a vice admiral now. Her name doesn't matter at this point. She says, Bagarkun. Say, speaking of Big Mom and Kaido, okay? And you're hailed as the hero of the Marines because of, a lot of, I never bought that it was because he battled Roger multiple times. The thing is, Roger and Garp remind me, to me, it parallels Luffy and Smoker, okay? I've said that for years upon years now, several years. And we fought to the death countless times. I don't buy it. It didn't add up. All right. So this helps. And people are like, well, Oda, he's now introducing. We are now in the new world. Okay. All the legends, all the old timers. We didn't know about guys like Don Chinjiao, for example. We didn't know about former Admiral Zephyr, aka Z, Black Arm Z. All right. We didn't know about him. We didn't know about a lot of these cats out here. We met Fujitora. We're going to meet even more with Green Bull and Rio Kugu and all that, right? So we continue on with the page. It says, oh, are you talking about the Rocks pirate? I mean, about the Rocks, excuse me. I'm surprised that you've heard of them, Hina. Hina's the homegirl who spoke up. Especially since you're so young. There's no doubt that before Roger came along, it was their era. Talking about the Rocks pirates, okay? But as that was more than 40 years ago. Nevertheless, the past is the past. Even though they lost their, and Hina goes, even though they lost their captain, their power is still growing. Hina is worried. Okay, so they've been still doing their thing out on these seas. There's no use worrying about it, says Garp. Although it would be a real threat if they were to make a comeback, it'd be an incident too far beyond our imaginations for us to do anything. Why are you speaking about that? So Oda is just foreshadowing, and I gotta put this out here because shout out to, I always forget, it may have been KOL, may have been Tekken, may have been Joe Boy, may have been Sawyer, but anyways, probably KOL. There was a video done months back that talked about, you know, what's gonna come after the Yonko, what's gonna come after, Kaido. All right, you topple the world's strongest creature, Luffy. Let's say he goes through Yonko, beats Big Man, beats Teach, Blackbeard, beats Shanks, right? What'll happen? Well, propose the best hockey or strongest armament hockey, strongest ups, like the best hockey user in the world. How I describe rocks before I get into my breakdown of what this could actually mean as far as with Kaido and Linlin and the affiliation with the Rocks Pirates. I've described Rocks as the Pirate King before the Pirate King. I've been for a while now. Was before this chapter even came out. It was probably about a year. I was wondering. I'm like, so what about the eras before Roger? We had never got anything on those. Like, what about the pirates? Because we know Roger wasn't the first pirate. That generation wasn't the first. We saw Whitebeard sailing with a pirate crew and stuff. So this is more revelation. Also, Shockey talked about being in a former crew like some odd 40 years ago. So there you go, Rocks Pirates. Bobbin, I believe her name, the lady who's leading Midget Whitebeard, all right, Edward Weevil around. She possibly could have been involved in that as well. It's a possibility that Whitebeard was on that crew. Okay, so this was my answer, and I'll go through more in depth with these answers as a response. All right, let me read what he actually said. He said, this is why so many people believe Kaido and Big Mom are affiliated with Rocks. And I don't know what else it would suggest. Even though they lost their captain, their power is still growing. What are your thoughts? First of all, who is the they? Okay. And now I get into my responses. All right. Well, besides assuming, because this is what people were doing, they're assuming the obvious dynamic. Remember, this is Oda. 5 alternative possibilities do exist. 1, there was a lead on clause. That was a lead on clause talking about Kaido and Big Man. Just a transition, okay? And that is actually a red herring, intentionally misleading information. So Oda loves to throw out red herrings. He wants you to look left instead of looking right or looking center. He loves throwing out stuff that has nothing to do with where he's heading with the story. Also, sometimes he changes his mind. So this may just be complete smoke, okay? Just to get us hyped for, other characters. It may be simply that it was a reference point. Number 2, both Kaido and Lin Lin were allies of the Rocks Pirates, similar to how Whitebeard had so many like Squardo and how the Heart Pirates are with the Straw Hats. She's a very likely. Remember, Nico Robin said she warned Luffy to be careful because pirate alliances don't usually last long. This would also explain how and why Lin Lin and Kaido had such a seemingly close relationship with one another. If they were allied, it would make perfect sense. And the head dogs of the Big Mom Pirates and the head dogs of the Beast Pirates know each other. The top dogs. So take that for what it's worth. Number 3, the Rocks Pirates had a grand fleet similar to the Golden Line Pirates, talking about Golden Line Shiki's crew. If you remember the battle at the End War, Roger versus, with the one ship, the Oro Jackson, versus the entire fleet of Golden Line Shiki. Like 50 ships, bro. Okay. Whitebeard Pirates had a fleet like Grand Fleet, like the Golden Lion Pirates, the Whitebeard Pirates, who they had. I always forget if it's 14 or 16 divisions. But anyways, the Blackbeard Pirates with 11 divisions, and the Straw Hat Pirates. We know they have a Grand Fleet of 6 underling crews. Okay. Next up, I said number 4. Oda was using a reference point, like I mentioned previously, to the current big names to talk about the top dog of the era predating Roger. Okay. So Rocks was the dog, big man before Roger. And I had used Lin Lin. I said Lin Lin would have been 28, if I remember correctly, 40 years ago. She's been 28. If I remember correctly, Oda drew Big Man at 18, 28, who was much more attractive, 48, and 68. One Piece is a generational story. A generation historically is typically viewed as being 20 years. In the One Piece world, it's been the cause of each era that we're aware of. Rox's, Rogers, Great Pirate Age, Whitebeards, and New Era, Luffy's. Okay? So every single time we get an era, it's 20 years. You also got to take in consideration that the big names, regardless if you have Yonko, Shichibukai, you name it, guys like Golden Line, Shiki, Dark King, Silver's Ray, you name it. The big name pirates are the ones whose names go with the air, like the biggest name. Again, Rocks, Roger, Pirate King, Whitebeard. World's strongest man, and it's going to be Luffy's arrow in the new era. The biggest names, he's going for Pirate King number 2. So the guy who was Pirate King before Pirate King, the Pirate King, the world's strongest man, and the future Pirate King. Now I'm calling him Pirate King before Pirate King, and there's a reason I can get into that, and I might explain that at the end of the video. Now the fifth and last point. Okay. Rocks might be the code name of an organization of pirates in One Piece that look to unite the pirate world underneath one banner, which would be totally radical and have so many implications. I never intended to talk about this, and like I said, I'll make a separate video. Alright, so the thing about that, an organization, now we've not seen that in One Piece, but especially if it's involved with the poneglyphs, we may have had, okay, there's a reason why I have this thought, and this is probably for me the largest possibility. The largest possibility was an organizational link, the Rocks. Not saying that there wasn't a leader named Rocks, but maybe it's just an organization. Okay, like how you have the underground world, the faction. The Rocks pirates might be so dangerous because you had a lot of the best pirates in the New World coming together. Now let's go back to what Garp said. Garp's like, yo, if they were to come together again, it's anything beyond our imagination. Pretty much meaning we can't stop them. Because if you're uniting the pirate world, if you're uniting, like I've said this before, you unite all the Yonko crews. Who's stopping them? The Big Mom pirates, the Beast pirates, the Red Hair pirates, and formerly the Whitebeard pirates, now the Blackbeard pirates. Who's stopping that? The world government has a hell of a war on their hands, and then we know they have so many subordinate crews because under the Beast part, you have Hawkins. You have his crew. K pirates aren't under them now, but the Flying Air pirates, X Rakes, his pirates. You had the Fire Tank pirates and the Sun pirates under Big Mom, right? So, and Blackbeard has all his allies. You saw what Whitebeard brought. He brought hell to Marineford. Devastation. If you could unite the pirate world, okay, that's one of the reasons the pirates never rule is because they're not united. And if you look at the different plans, I'll end it up here. Rocks unites the pirate world under one banner. Roger wasn't really trying to do that. Him and his crew were sailing. Not saying they didn't have any allies or whatever, but they were mainly doing it on their own. Luffy is got his crew. He has grand fleets, but he's making a lot of allies throughout the world. See what I'm saying? So all that being said is there are a number of possibilities you have to consider with these kind of things. Okay, don't just jump to the conclusion that Kaido and Big Mom were just on a crew. Maybe, but this is Oda, and it seems like Big Mom was already doing her thing back then. Remember, she had her first kid, Sparrow, at 18 years old. He's 50. The triplets, Katakuri, Oven, and Daifuku came shortly after. Katakuri's 48, if I remember correctly. So you get there. It looks like the triplets are Kaido's kids. And Struzen is Sparrow's dad, and probably, I think, what, Oven, I mean, not Oven, Compote. I think Compote's the first daughter, might be his kid as well. But anyways, unexpected wonder, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on this. Are you hardline saying that Big Mom and Kaido, Lin and Kaido, those absolute monsters were on the same crew and could have coexisted? We also know that Kaido didn't come up like that. Even 20 years ago, I'm not saying he wasn't powerful, but was his name out there like that. That was 20 years ago. That was in Roger's era with Odin and such. So take that for what it's worth. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. I really would like to hear y'all thoughts.